Hello, friends. If you are over 60 and you still get behind the wheel, listen closely because something is changing this July and a lot of older drivers are about to walk into the DMV and get caught completely off guard. You have probably seen the frightening posts online, the ones claiming a brand new national law will force every senior to take a road test, pass a cognitive exam, and renew their license every single year. This is one of those topics where the panic online is far bigger than the reality, but the reality still matters because getting it wrong can quietly cost you your license and your independence. I am going to tell you right now what is real, what is a flat-out lie, and the exact things you have to check before you drive. And the very first thing is a real law taking effect on July 1st that changes the rules for older drivers starting this month. So let's start there because this is the one that is actually true. On July 1st, 2026, a new law takes effect that directly changes when older drivers have to take a behind-the-wheel road test. For years, one state, Illinois, was the only place in the entire country that forced drivers to take a mandatory road test purely because of their age, starting at 75. Millions of perfectly capable older drivers dreaded it. Well, that just changed. Under the new Road Safety and Fairness Act, as of July 1st, that mandatory road test age jumps from 75 all the way up to 87. If you are between 79 and 86 in Illinois, you no longer face an automatic road test at renewal, just a vision check. That means starting this July, hundreds of thousands of Illinois drivers in their late 70s and early 80s who used to face a stressful driving test at renewal will simply not have to take it anymore. So the first piece of real news is actually good news. The one true age-based road test law in America was just relaxed, not tightened. But, and here is what you need to understand, that is one state. What about the other 49? And what about that scary national law everyone is posting about? Stay with me, because this is where people get it dangerously wrong. Here is the truth about the so-called new federal law. There is no new national law forcing seniors to take road tests, cognitive exams, or annual renewals. It does not exist. Fact checkers, the Insurance Safety Institute, and the state DMVs themselves have all confirmed those viral posts were fake. Several of them were literally generated by AI and spread on social media to scare people. So if you have been losing sleep worrying that the government is about to yank your license the day you turn 70, you can stop right now. That is not happening and it is not planned. But, and this is the part those fake posts get right by accident, your state absolutely does have its own rules for older drivers, and they are real, they are enforced, and most people have no idea what applies to them until they are standing at the DMV counter. So let me give you the real list, the things that genuinely can trip you up, starting with the one that catches the most people. Real rule number 1. The vision test. And this is the big one because 41 states require it at renewal, and the age it kicks in is all over the map. In Georgia, you have to pass a vision exam at every single renewal starting at age 64. In Alabama and Maine, it starts even earlier, around 62. In Arizona and Ohio, it is 65. In California, Alaska and Iowa, it kicks in around 69 to 70. In Texas, it is 79. And in Florida, you have to pass a vision test at every renewal once you hit 80. There is even a state, Maryland, that ties vision reporting to renewal starting as young as 40. The point is this, the age is different everywhere. So the number that matters is not the one in a viral post, it is the one for your state. Here is why this matters so much. If you show up expecting a quick renewal and your eyesight has slipped, You can fail that screening and walk out without your licence. Picture it. You drive to the DMV expecting a 5-minute renewal. You fail the ice cream by one line on the chart, and suddenly you are told you cannot renew until you see a doctor. It happens every single day, so do not wait. If you are anywhere near your state's trigger age, get your eyes checked before you go. Bring your current glasses and ask your state whether they will accept a vision form filled out by your own eye doctor in advance. Many states will, and it can save you a second trip and a lot of stress. Real rule number 2, and this one quietly catches people who assume they can renew from their couch: the in-person requirement. A growing number of states no longer let older drivers renew online or by mail. They require you to show up in person so a DMV worker can check your vision and verify who you are. Arizona starts requiring in-person renewal at 65. California, Iowa, Nevada and Washington require it around 70. Here is the trap. If you have renewed online for the last 20 years and you assume you can do it again, but your state now requires you to appear in person, you can miss your deadline entirely and end up driving on an expired license without even realizing it. That is a ticket, or worse, waiting to happen. I have seen people find out the hard way, months later, when they get pulled over for a routine tail light and learn their license quietly expired because the online renewal they always used was no longer allowed at their age. So before your next renewal, check one simple thing on your state's DMV website. At my age, can I still renew online, or do I have to come in? Real rule number 3, the shorter renewal cycle, which means the rules come at you faster than you think. Younger drivers might renew every 8 years and never think about it, but once you cross certain ages, many states cut that window down. In Florida, once you turn 80, your renewal cycle drops from 8 years to 6, and you add a vision test. In Missouri, drivers 70 and older renew every 3 years instead of 6. In Texas and Indiana, it drops to every 2 years at 85, and in Illinois, at 87 and up, it becomes every single year. The danger here is simple. If you think your license is good for another few years, but your state quietly shortened your cycle, it can expire while you are still driving on it. Mark your real expiration date on your calendar and know exactly how often you now have to renew, because the state is not going to chase you down to remind you. That part is on you. Real rule number 4, road tests and medical reviews. And I want to be very clear here, because this is exactly where the fake posts do the most damage. Outside of Illinois, no state in America makes you take a road test just because of your age. Let me say that again. Age alone is not enough to force a road test anywhere except Illinois, and even there it is now 87 and older. So where do road tests actually come from? They come from a documented concern, a doctor reporting a medical condition, a police officer flagging something after a stop, or a pattern of crashes or violations on your record. If none of that applies to you, nobody is dragging you in for a driving test because you had a birthday. The safety data actually backs this up. Older drivers as a group are among the most careful and lowest risk drivers on the road, which is exactly why states use gentle check-ins like vision screens instead of mass road tests. That is the reassurance you need, and it is the fact those scare posts leave out on purpose. Now here is what to actually do, because knowing the rules only helps if you act on them. Before your next renewal, go to your own state's DMV website, not a Facebook post, not a forwarded email, the official state site, and check 3 things. Does my state require a vision test at my age? Do I have to renew in person? And how often do I now have to renew? Then, if you are near a vision trigger age, Schedule an eye exam before your DMV visit, because catching a vision problem early means you can correct it and keep driving, instead of getting blindsided at the counter. It takes about 10 minutes of checking, and it is the difference between renewing with complete peace of mind and getting an unwelcome surprise you did not see coming. And one more thing that applies to every single driver, senior or not. If you have not upgraded to a Real ID yet, you now need one to board a domestic flight. So if you travel, take care of that at the same time. So here is the full picture. The scary national law forcing all seniors into road tests and annual renewals is not real. It never was, and you can stop worrying about it. What is real is this. On July 1st, Illinois actually made its road test law easier, not harder. And every state has its own rules that can catch you off guard at renewal. A vision test that starts as early as 62, an in-person requirement that can begin at 65, and shorter renewal cycles that kick in at 70, 80 and beyond. None of these are meant to take your keys away. They are check-ins, and if you know yours ahead of time, you sail right through. So do this today. Look up your state's rules, check your renewal date, and get your eyes examined if you are close to your trigger age. Subscribe, turn on the bell, and share this with a driver over 60 you care about so they check their state before they get behind the wheel, not after.